والنجم إذا هوى ما ضل صاحبكم وما غوى.
Notice also the structure, the exclusive structure of lam and illa. Lam yurid illa. You could just say arad al hayat ad dunya. These people wanted worldly life. That would mean they want worldly life, they want this lowest life, but they want other things too. They have some spiritual pursuits, some other things. It's interesting. You would think there's materialism and spirituality, right? There's two things, because spirituality is immaterial, right? Your Chanel and your Gucci and your Mercedes and your Ferrari, that's material, and your yoga meditation is spiritual, right? What's interesting nowadays is the spiritual is only being sold as something that has material benefits. So the spiritual is being turned into the material. The only kind of spirituality that sells is you're going to find calm and you're going to be able to concentrate and it's going to get rid of your anxiety and you're going to feel good about yourself. And blood pressure, it has lots of health benefit. Oh, okay. Dunya, 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 dunya. Yeah, I like this kind of spirituality. Let me get a yoga mat. You know, that's their musalla, right? وَلَمْ يُرِدْ إِلَّا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. Now, this is about something I taught you on the first day or two. I said there are three kinds of speech: neutral, and I forgot. Neutral, doubtful, and opponent. Neutral speech is used when there's no opposition to what you're going to say. This ayah is neutral speech. Lam yurid illa al-hayat ad-dunya is not ma arada illa al-hayat ad-dunya. If ma was used, it would be akad. It would be stronger negation. Lam is a regular negation. It's just plain as day, as if the thing Allah is saying is an undisputed fact. But then we run into the problem. The Prophet is being told, turn away from them, right? Why? Because they turn away from remembering Allah. So the Prophet, they're physically turning away, and the Prophet is also physically turning away. Fine. You can partially see that they're turning away. But what the Prophet does not know is that they're turning away from the dhikr of Allah in their hearts. The Prophet cannot see their hearts. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So Allah is telling him what they're actually doing is turning away in their hearts. So you need to turn away. Fine. But the second part, they don't want anything but worldly life. Can the Prophet see who wants worldly life and who doesn't want worldly life? No. The only one who can see that is who? Is only Allah. وَلَمْ يُرِدْ إِلَّا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا is something only known to Allah. So the Prophet ﷺ is turning away from some people because they're acting arrogantly, but some of those people may not be لَمْ يُرِدْ إِلَّا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. They might actually come back. And some of them, Allah knows the nature of their hearts. I want to introduce this problem to you, and we're going to solve it down the road today. What's that problem? Allah is giving a description that I and you cannot judge. We can't, unless somebody says, hey, I only want this worldly life. And I've never wanted anything else until they confess that to me. And for 100% sure, I know they're telling the truth. Otherwise, I have no way of knowing this is what's inside their heart. That's only something Allah can know. So how is the Prophet ﷺ being told to turn away from someone that he can't even judge? He can't judge them because this is in their heart. It's like telling someone, turn away from the hypocrites. And then you say, oh, okay, I shouldn't talk to my cousin anymore. You don't know your cousin's a hypocrite. You didn't check their heart. There's no nifaq scanner. You know, there's like a COVID testing machine thing. There should be a nose swab for munafiqeen. You know, like oh, sorry, I gotta turn away from you. There's no such thing. So because we can't judge what's going on inside the heart. So what is Allah telling His Prophet ﷺ? Actually, just the first part. He's telling the Prophet ﷺ, people who are turning away from you, don't chase them. And by the way, among them are those who want nothing but this life. That's for me to deal with. Their heart is mine to deal with. That's not your problem. This also teaches us that as incredibly effective as the Prophet ﷺ is, he cannot change someone's heart. You know what that teaches you and me? And he loves these people. These are his people. They're his people. You know what that means? Doesn't matter how much you love someone. You can't change their heart. I love them so much. I want them to become better. They're not changing. What should I do? Can you tell me an ayah that I can tell them that will change things? Can you tell me, what can I tell my mom so I can change her heart? What can I tell my son? What can I tell my brother? What can I tell my husband? What can I tell my, oh my God. The Prophet ﷺ, Allah gave him the entire Quran, and he didn't say, Ya Allah, give me one ayah for Abu Talib that could change his heart. Just give me one surah for Abu Lahab that can change. Allah gave him a Surah Lahab surah. I'm not sure about the heart change though. We've developed this mentality that somehow we are responsible for changing somebody else's heart. We're not in control. That's with Allah. And that's also with the person whose heart they've decided to commit to worldly things and only worldly things. وَلَمْ يُرِدْ إِلَّا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا. Now, ذَلِكَ مَبْلَغُهُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ. That is the extent of their knowledge. That's as far as their knowledge goes. We're going to talk about the word extent, mablag, a little bit. When you reach a place, it's called balagtul makan. وَالتَّبْلِغَ حَبْلٌ يُوصَلُ بِهِ الرِّشَاء إِلَى الْكَرَبِ. Interesting language. You know, you have ropes that go down and get the water from the bucket. Sometimes the rope is not long enough. So they tie another rope to the first rope to make the extension so it can finally reach. That second rope that allowed you to reach the bottom, that rope is called a tabligha. It's the extension. Okay? Balagh al-nabt, they use this for greenery, flowers, vegetation, when the plants mature. When your plants are grown fully, they've reached intaha, yani tamma namuhu, it's done growing. It's fully matured. Similarly, a ghulam, when they become a boy, when they become mature and they hit puberty, then they actually also use the same word baligh for them. From the same, because the plant matured, the child matured. وصول الشيء إلى غاية له, when something reaches its final end, the goal. That's when you use the word bulugh. Interestingly, a bad word is also bulugh. رجل bilgh is another insult you can use. Islamic insults. Bilgh. It's hard to say though. Bilgh. It's a khabith. It's a nasty person. فالمقصود أنه يبلغ ما يريد بأي وسيلة وإن لم تكن مقبولة. Is a person who will do whatever they can to reach their goal. Doesn't matter who they run over, who they destroy, what corners they have to cut. They will reach what they gotta reach. They have their goal. You know how the ends justify the means? Those people are called bilgh because they're just focused on the end. That's it. Nothing else matters. The means the means are justified. Okay. Now, so reaching is inclusive of maturation, final destination, the bottom of a well, to how to reach the bottom of a well, and a horrible person. Now, the word mablag is a dharf, meaning this is the final place that they can reach. The first thing you need to understand here is dhalika. This is why Arabic is so important. Dhalika is a masculine pointer. So in English, we say that, right? But you can say that for a man and you can say that for a woman. You can say that man, that woman. But in Arabic, you can't say dhalika al-mar'a. You can't use dhalika for a woman. You have to use tilka al-mar'a. So for a man, you have to use dhalika al-rajul. So dhalika is masculine. The word that is masculine. So if you have a translation, put a little M on it because the dhalika is masculine. The problem is the previous ayah said al-hayatud dunya. Al-hayatud dunya is feminine, right? Worldly life is actually feminine. So if it was talking about worldly life, the language would have been tilka mablaghuhum. That worldly life is as far as their knowledge goes. But actually, this word goes back to lam yurid, because from lam yurid illa al-murad. Al-murad is masculine. The thing they want. The want itself is masculine. And so what it's referring to is their want is the extent of their knowledge. Let me explain that again, or say that again. I want this words to sink in your head. Now, their thought process has a limit, has a cap, and that cap was determined by their intention to only desire this world. That's the reason they can't think anywhere past that. He's bringing back the connection between the emotional and the intellectual. We're not robots. We're not purely computational beings. Our agendas, our thoughts, our emotions influence our thoughts. That is where the world of psychology comes in. If we're purely rational, logical creatures, you wouldn't have the field of psychology. It wouldn't exist. We wouldn't have emotions. It wouldn't exist. We would just, what is true is you do it, what isn't, you don't do it. But this profound, I put deep there because it is deep. This is what I do in my notes. That's why I don't share my notes with the world. Now you know what's going on behind the scenes.